on this, so I really have to be quite careful of what I say, but I will just contextualize it.
Okay.
And then people can draw their own conclusions. I've just been in Singapore for a week. Before I went, the Singapore embassy gave me this book called From First World to Third World, The Singapore Story 1965 to 2000 by Lee Kuan Yew. I read it with enormous interest, and then I went to Singapore. To say that it blew my mind was an understatement. I learnt an enormous amount in Singapore, and I plan to write quite a lot about what I learnt. Now, when I came back, I was composing my thoughts and getting everything together, and I sent out a tweet that said, "Much to learn from Singapore, colonized for as long as South Africa, and under brutal occupation in World War II, can we apply the lessons in our democracy?" Question. And this was a series of 12 tweets. I then said, Singapore had no natural resources and 50 years ago was poorer than most African countries. Now they saw. What are the lessons? Then I said, I think Singapore's lessons are: number one, meritocracy; number two, multiculturalism; number three, work ethic; number four, open to globalism; number five, English; number six, an orientation to the future. All of these taken out of Lee Kuan Yew's book. And in all of them, he describes how he took this poverty-stricken country out from under British colonialism, looked at what they had from it: a seaport, a currency, the English language, trade, the notion of meritocracy in a civil service, and he applied it with a vengeance to Singapore. And if you look at it today, that country is just extraordinary. I don't know what the rate of unemployment is, but it's very, very low. And it's been transformed from a poverty-stricken country to a highly developed country. And we sit here and we talk about the fourth industrial revolution. They are on the economy 5.0 that they talk about, which is the super smart economy, artificial intelligence, robotic intelligence, the most extraordinary things. Those are the recipes, and I read all about them in this book and then discussed them with a lot of people there. So what then fascinated me, and what I read a lot about, was why some countries have flourished after colonialism, most obviously Singapore, and why some countries haven't. It's a very important question if we want to be honest about this debate. And I think we want to be honest about these debates and not keep on pretending that we can't discuss certain things. So I looked up, and I read quite a lot when I was there, on the countries that have been colonized and the countries that haven't been colonized. I was fascinated to learn that one of the countries that has never been colonized is North Korea. Now, we would hardly like to emulate Kim Jong-un. There are only two countries in Africa that have not been colonized. One is Liberia, and they had Charles Taylor and all the trauma that went with him. He's sitting in jail now. And the other is Ethiopia, which has its issues. And I was fascinated to learn that there are only 10 countries worldwide that have not been colonized at one stage or another. And so I've done a lot of reading about colonialism in the last week, and I'm fascinated by the question, why have some countries gone, like Singapore, to take the English language, to take the outward-looking sense of a port that was developed under colonialism, and used that not only to invent themselves, but to reinvent themselves every single time. So firstly, they managed to compete by having cheaper price of labor. Then they managed to compete by massive capitalization and producing better goods. Then they managed to compete by ensuring that they moved into the digital age. And now they've leapfrogged the digital age and are on society 5.0.